right? And what was her sister? A princess! The Wicked Witch of the East, bro!
I'm gonna stab him.
You're gonna look at me and you're gonna tell me that I'm wrong? Am I wrong?
It's my favorite
she
movie.
wore a crown and she came down in a bubble,
I'm
dog!
not fighting with you.
Grow up,
I'm not fighting
bro!
with you.
Grow up!
Get educated.
FX presents the Indu Podcast with your host, T. Sterling Watson.
Ho, ho, ho! Happy New Year! I'm T. Sterling Watson. This is the Indu Podcast. Thank you for stopping by and pressing play. Ho, ho, ho! Happy New Year, Kortney.
Yeah, ho, ho, ho! Happy New Year to you too.
Because we haven't potted together since, like, I almost want to say Thanksgiving, but it's probably even before that. No, not before that. It was after that.
It wasn't that long ago.
No,
not that long. I mean,
right? But this is technically the first episode of the year. This is episode 91. And I know people at home might be like, what happened to episode 90? Currently, as we are recording, that episode is not out yet. I'm still working on it. So we'll see. It's possible that episode might come out just before this one or it might come out a little after, but it's there. It's coming. If it's not there already. So, yeah. So,
we believe you.
Yeah, I had to get that out of the way. Also, if I do sound a little different, I found the discovery of recording using my Bluetooth device. So that's, if I do sound different to those audio files like myself, like, he sounds weirder or something. But that's that. That's just a little housekeeping. How are you doing?
I am fabulous. How are you?
I am, I'm going to steal your word. I'm fabulous as well. Just,
good.
You know, it has been a while. We've done a lot of things, ate a lot of food. We've both seen a lot of movies. So
you probably more than me.
Well, yeah, I try to group us all in together. You know.
So we as in the collective we, or we
yes.
as in Kortney and Sterling?
Kortney and Sterling. And I will also want to use the royal we. I'll use that in the future. And when I use the royal we, that's just me. So.
Oh, okay.
But collectively, you and I, we've seen a number of movies, and which we will do a very, very quick review. Bird Box is one of those movies we saw.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about Bird Box?
I don't feel like it deserved the hate that it got, but I mean, it wasn't by any stretch of the imagination like an original movie. You know, it's pretty predictable, but I mean, it's you pay a flat fee for Netflix every month. Mm-hmm. I felt like it was worth the money that's paid every month. So I mean, like, if I had seen it in the theater, I might be a little disappointed. But I don't know. I don't feel like it was a terrible movie. I didn't hate it.
Right.
Can't say I loved it and I will never watch it again. But, you know, that's more so for, like, content. It's not my preferred, this is a nice Sunday, a nice slow Sunday evening. I just need something to watch. It wouldn't be that movie. But that's just the content. The content was pretty heavy to me. But, I don't know. It wasn't terrible, but I also don't understand why I got so much hype. I don't get that.
Yeah.
Because apparently Black Twitter carried that movie, and I don't understand why. I don't get it.
My guess is all of the memes that came from it, or the jokes, I suppose.
But we created the jokes because of watching the movie, and I Why that movie? Why did it get so much clout? I don't know.
I'm not entirely sure either. It might have been, I think it may have been word of mouth because there were people who maybe had made the jokes and the memes and like, I don't get it. So like, I guess I have to watch the movie to understand. And none of those people who were making said jokes actually said if the movie was any good. And then things just kind of took off from there where like, oh, let me watch this movie and figure it out. And then maybe after that, people were like, that movie wasn't that great. I'm not saying that was me because I'm with you where it was like, it was a movie. And
it was had people in it.
Right. Sandra Bullock, I actually think she did a really good job. I like Sandra Bullock.
I did. It doesn't take me much to like what she's in just because I love her. I've always loved her as an actress. And I thought she did well in the movie. Right.
I believed in, as much as I didn't want to believe, because I feel like she would be a nurturing mother. I don't know if she has children in real life, but like I feel like she would be. She does?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Just a few adopted kids. I think a couple of black children.
Oh.
Or a black child. Don't quote me on that, but I think that is accurate.
Okay. Well, I'm just hoping that she, calls them by their names, that, whatever names that they were given. I'm assuming they were given names and not just giving you boy and girl. And
okay, a lot of people hated that part, which is kind of a spoiler, so
okay,
stop now,
a little bit of spoiler.
But a little bit of a spoiler to me. But I don't know, I felt like that was a poignant part of the movie, and I understood why she did it, like why she didn't name them until they were in a safe space, and why she didn't really connect with them. I get that, but she had issues with connecting even when her son was in the womb, so it just made sense to me. But a lot of people are like, well, why didn't she give those kids names? That's just cruel. Yeah, it is, but they're also living in a really cruel world, right? And it was a bit of self-preservation, I think, for everybody, right? For her heart and for the kids' safety.
I totally understood it too. It's the fact that because of the world that they lived in, it wasn't entirely sure if they would survive, and you didn't want to have that extra emotional attachment.
But I also think somebody. I'm sorry, I think I just cut you off. But if somebody who they didn't know were to learn their names, that could be used against them as a weapon, and that's how I saw it. It was protection for her, like in case she lost one of them or both of them or whatever, or because they didn't know her name either. They didn't know her as mom. They know her name, her name, but they didn't know her as mother.
Right.
And so I don't know. I thought it was a self-preservation thing.
I didn't think of that part in particular where the names could be used against them. So I didn't think about that. That's a good point too. But definitely
it could have been. I think it could have been.
What I did like about the movie is that it did leave a lot up to us, like to fill in the blanks and think about it and use our imagination, such as
I agree.
Why we could actually see what they saw. And my interpretation of that is they saw whatever it was that,
triggered them.
Right, exactly. So that's why they didn't show it to us, because it would be different. That's why that guy who was a little bit of a spoiler, who was crazy in drawing pictures, all the pictures were different because So that was a little bit of Bird Box.
And it was well, before we move on, one last qualm, because what you just mentioned, a lot of people, that was a point of contempt for a lot of people. They're like, well, how we didn't even get to see the monsters? I'm like, well, that's kind of the point. Because if you were being, if you were fully suspending all disbelief, if we were to see the monsters or the demons or the creatures that the people were seeing, in theory, it would affect us too. So we were looking at it from a very sheltered, filtered point of view. So and that, to me, that's part of the scare factor too, is that we don't know what those people are seeing. We get like snippets of it because people are like, oh, mom, or whatever. So I think that's part of good storytelling, is showing and not telling. But
exactly. Yeah. And that's one thing that I hate about some movies like this, where they keep the monster from you for so long, then they finally reveal it. I'm like, oh, that's what it is. So
Right, it's not. Yeah, and I think that's a lot of it too. Is, if they give us every piece of it, then we could in turn be very disappointed because we don't. I don't even think we realize we do this, but we naturally fill in those blanks, or we take guesses at least in our minds. And so if then later on the monster is revealed, it could very well let us down from the monster that we've created in our head. So
right.
I don't know, but some people view that differently. So
I agree. And two semi-related tangents before we move on. I'm going to preemptively apologize to Candace Frederick, who has been on the podcast before, as I was one of the people who was perpetrating the comparison of this movie to two other films, one a lesser film, one a much greater film. And actually, I did see a meme, and I actually meant to save it and send it to you, Kortney, but I forgot to do that. But I know I'm failing. The Happening and A Quiet Place had a baby, and it was this movie. The Quiet Place being, or A Quiet Place being the superior film, and The Happening being
far inferior film.
Yes, I hate that movie
by much.
Yeah.
By much. But A Quiet Place was brilliant, and I loved it. And
it is.
It can survive forever.
Yes, and she's mad at me. Well, not me. I kind of took some of the brunt. She was just making a general statement, but I said, yeah, I'm one of those people that compared this movie to A Quiet Place. So she kind of like sent me in the corner and,
you
changed me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. I'm glad she did. Good job, Candace. You did a good thing. I mean, they're similar in that your senses are affected by, or, your surroundings are affected by this one of the senses.
Mm-hmm.
And
they'll use their senses to your disadvantage. Yes,
thank you. That's a much better way of saying that. But they really are different. I mean, they're so different. They're different. I mean, yes, they're survival, all about the will to survive, and, a parent, doing what he or she needs to do to protect their children and their family. And that's beautiful. But I mean, there are some pretty big differences, both in just like film quality as well as the story, and the just the cinematography. And I don't know, they're similar, but they are they are standalone films.
Yes, but
if you have not, right, if you have not seen either or any of the films, The Happening, A Quiet Place, or Bird Box, you won't understand the reference. So go see them all and add us on Twitter and tell us what you think if you haven't already.
Do we really want them to see The Happening? I mean,
yes, because they need to understand the full scope of how terrible that movie is and how it truly is the inferior of all three of the films.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I mean, it started off so well. Like, the premise was like, oh, what's going on? And then when you find out what it is, it's Avatar all over again. I don't want to, or excuse me, The Last Airbender live action all over again. And I don't really want to talk about it because
you lost me. You lost me. What the last Airbender? Is this a movie?
It tried to be a movie.
I don't remember this existing.
It sincerely tried to be tried to do something to us, and it did. It achieved that. It got a reaction for sure out of us.
Yeah, one that I clearly try to block out of my memory. And
try to block it out of space and time. It doesn't quite work, though.
I was
duped
by a friend who said, "Oh, this movie's great. It's amazing." And then I saw it, like, this is trash. Why would you have me watch this?
Were they serious? Did they truly believe it was a good movie?
Yes. And
what?
I mean, I know.
Friends with them still?
And that's exactly what other people tell me. It's like, you're still friends with this person you call a friend?
now I'm starting to judge you and your choice of friends.
I mean, everything else that they, what makes them a friend is still valid. And like, okay, you're great at, loyalty and being a friend other than this one instance. Like, friends are allowed to make a mistake.
Yeah. But I mean, if they have terrible choices in movies like this alleged friend does, like, I don't know. I don't know, Sterling. Like, there's at some point, you have to draw the line, okay? And
yeah,
I think you have crossed that line. They have crossed this line.
Everyone gets a pass. This is their pass. I try to overlook the fact that they're the ones that introduced me to this movie. And I look beyond, and again, I forget that the movie exists. So therefore, it's not there. The other related tangent I can only think of 3 that popped in my head immediately, of 3 reveals of monsters that we don't necessarily see right away. That for me, this is just my opinion, that actually kind of paid off. Like, okay, I respect this monster reveal. The first one actually being Cloverfield, because it was a grotesque thing that I could not imagine. Like, ooh, that is
cute,
nasty, gnarly little beast.
He was cute.
It was a baby too. So there was that.
He was cute. He was cute in his own right. He wasn't nasty or gnarly.
I mean, did you get a look at his face?
He was born that way. Stop hating on him. He's just trying to.
He's trying to what? Cuddle?
He's just trying to be seen, and he made a scene. So mission accomplished, right?
Scene, I suppose. I mean, it's a face. A face a mother or whatever birthed it or made it could love, perhaps.
Right. Exactly.
Yes. My second monster reveal is the World of Worlds. Even though they're aliens, the fact when you finally get to see them, like, ooh, that was
really good.
Yeah, and
I love that movie though.
I do too. As much as
it's super underrated. I feel like it doesn't get the what is it?
The acclaim,
not the cookies,
the praise, kudos,
the kudos, stars. It doesn't get its stars. I feel like but it's just so good to me. And I'm not I love Dakota Fanning, and she's just a prodigy in my opinion. And I'm not a huge Tom Cruise fan, but I really just enjoy him in that film. He really did a good job.
Despite how we feel about his personal life, I mean, he's excellent in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He gets a gold star from me for his choices.
He does. I mean, he really does, because Mission Impossible Fallout was like one of many great movies I enjoyed last year. Did you get to see that one yet?
Nope.
Okay,
Not interested.
You will. I'm telling you, as your friend that you trust when it comes to motion pictures. Hey, I told you about the Dragon Prince. How badly you needed to see that. So, come on. Yeah. Okay.
I would have eventually found it myself. Come on.
that was my Kortney impression. Anyway, that was. I mean, we can continue going on how great the World of Worlds is, because hey, it's Steven Spielberg. We got Morgan Freeman narrating.
That's true. He did narrate it. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot that.
Yes.
Of course he did. Wow.
Tim Robbins shows up.
He does. Wow. I need to just rewatch that movie. I used to kind of keep it on rotation, but life happens. So
it does. And that's one of those movies for me that if it ever shows up, like I'm just watching TV, like, I mean, who just watches TV? But if it's like on some channel or I'm scrolling through the guide and it's on, like, you know what? I'm going to watch this movie. So
yeah.
And one of my favorite scenes, like the just deafening scene, is when they're traveling through wherever they're wandering, and then all of a sudden there's the train that goes by that's on fire. That scene gets me random all the time.
And I love it because didn't it just pass through, like, with no explanation, nothing else happened. To me, that's a perfect example of showing and not telling. Like
Right.
there is no backstory to that. There is no character arc with that. There's no we don't know anything about this random train that's on fire that is still moving, and we don't know where it's going. It's just I love it. Beautiful.
It's beautiful, beautiful. There's just so much I love about that movie.
Yeah.
The last one is what we had already discussed is A Quiet Place, when we finally get to see the creatures that
Oh
are
yeah.
attacking. They were just well designed, and like
Yeah.
I think I can't remember what they look like now. But they look like a bunch of
Well,
ear
they had
holes.
the exactly. That's exactly what they look like. And I was about to say, like, their design was. I mean, they heard, for lack of well, I guess you could call it hearing, but they heard based on sonar, right? And like sounds, not sounds, but like the sonar. And so, well, I guess sounds. But yeah, and because of that, they did look like big ear holes. Well, their heads did. Like the rest of their bodies were, monsterish and alienish, and like, oh no, it's a monster. We should run. This doesn't look good. But their faces
say
are
that,
like,
though.
oh my gosh, ear holes.
And maybe like when you see one, you can't help but like, oh my god, and then you're dead because
Yeah, and then you're just out of there. Yeah.
you know what? I'm gonna add another one to the list. The Demogorgon from Stranger
Well,
Things.
season 1, Demogorgon.
Yeah.
Because season
two,
2,
we kind of saw at the end.
So, well, they just weren't as scary because, and there's a is it a cinema? It's not a cinema sin. No, I think it's probably an honest trailer that does Stranger Things, because they're like, yeah, this show is great, and the nostalgia and the acting and the story, blah blah blah. I just hope it doesn't fall into the same trap of having a really really scary and worthy villain monster in season 1, and then lessening that what was impossible in season 1 to something they can easily take down in season 2, and then they're like, oh, because that's exactly what it did. That's exactly what it did. Like in season 1, you didn't see the Demogorgon, and for a while, and it was a really great reveal, and they just did well with that, and then they couldn't beat them, and they were overtaking the characters, and it was just a big like, how are we gonna get out of this? And then in season 2, when they introduced the even bigger bad, the Demogorgon were just like little ugly puppies. I mean, they were nothing compared to what the characters had gone through in season 1. So, but they are good monsters, creatures, whatever you want to call them.
They are, and I am really looking forward to season 3.
July 4th, 2019.
Yes, indeed. Birdman hand rub. We also saw Aquaman, and I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Just meh. It was a movie. I mean, it was, Jason Momoa. He did the thing, and I will forever be grateful for him and DC Studios for making Aquaman great again. Because let's be honest,
that's the new MAGA.
Yeah, MAGA. So, the original Aquaman, God rest his soul, was just not. He didn't do it for me. He was the worst of the. I was gonna say
Super
the Avengers,
Friends?
the Super Friends. So I don't know. So I give them props for making him look cool and making him be cool. But there's a lot of Aquaman that I didn't love. It was an okay movie. But it just, it was a very lacking origin story to me. I wanted to know more about, even though he was a villain, I wanted to know more about the brother. Like, how did he come into being? I mean, his mother basically had to marry or be with somebody who she didn't love, and he became a result of that. So that's got to sting a little bit. And then, but even just some of the practical things, like how the CGI for most of the movie was just terrible. I don't understand why DC can't get CGI just right. Like, from everything from, like, when I forget the actor's name who played Aquaman's father.
Oh yeah, I don't remember.
I forget his name, but he's a great. I think he's a good actor, and he did fine in the movie. But like the whole time, I recognized him, and I was like, "There's something about him." He looks younger, so I knew they did something. But I was like, "There's just something about him. I don't know. There's just something about him that just doesn't sit well with me. It ain't right. Not about the character, but about how he looked." Well, then when I finally saw his actual face, aged 20 or so years, I'm like, oh, it was just really bad CGI. Okay. All right. I mean, and then there were other, like, what's his name, who trained Aquaman?
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe. His CGI, same thing with the CGI. It just was very unrealistic and very distorted and very forced and just not good. There was and of course, with the movie about Aquaman, they're in water for a good portion of the movie, which is, I expect that.
I'll give them that they gave us like, okay, this is the world that they live in, so this is how they sound and they talk, and this is how they look when they just, the hair just waving around everywhere.
I was fine with that, but there's a lot of that even, I can suspend disbelief just fine. This is what I live for. This is what I do. But it just looked so manufactured. So I don't know. It didn't work for me. It just didn't work for me. What's her name's freaking hair? That was as red as Ariel's. Mira's hair that was as red as Ariel, the cartoon Ariel, like in Little Mermaid. Why? Y'all have this kind of budget and you couldn't make her hair better? Okay.
So that's something that both like Marvel and DC have issues with, is getting the hair right, especially if it's like CG, almost sentient hair. Because I'm thinking of that awful TV show, which about it, but we're not going to mention.
I mean, but in Marvel's defense, that was one of their only like flops.
That's true.
I don't know I know I've heard the stories of why that show flopped, but and it has such good potential. Oh my gosh. But there's a lot of issues as to why that show flopped. So, but I mean, look at the rest of Marvel's track record. Virtually nothing else that they created has done so poorly. Iron Fist was an exception, but whatever.
And, the same problem that with Iron Fist is with that other show that we're trying not to mention. I actually forget the name, and it's actually because of one of the producers is the same. So
right. Oh, well, that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of that was like the crew, the cast, not so much the cast, but the crew, which is ultimately a Marvel issue, but you know what I mean. So, but come on, DC, they've been kind of trailing behind for a little while, and they have great characters and great storylines, just like Marvel does. It's just the companies are completely different. They're light years apart from one another. And I think DC is catching up and they're doing better. But they've got some
catching
wrinkles
up to do.
They got some wrinkles to iron out there.
And I'm pretty much with you. A lot of the same reasons. The movie was kind of meh to me. I did doze off a couple times, only because...
Oh, I did too.
For me, it was only because I just got out of work. So sometimes I'm a little tired. And I'm like, oh, it's getting... And it's not even because it was boring. It just got a little quiet and a little slow. And I was like, I'm just going to close my eyes for a second. And then all of a sudden, bang, something happens. And
there's a lot of fights.
There's a lot of fights. There's a lot happening. There's just a lot happening.
It really was.
And I realized I had to remember. I was like, oh wait, I believe the director's name is James Wan, and he has directed, like, one of the things he's known for besides Fast and the Furious is horror movies. So there are times people are just speaking like blah blah blah, bang, something explodes.
Yeah, that's true.
something that
happened
is
several times where it was a very peaceful, calm underwater conversation, and then kablam, something
exactly.
just literally blows up like behind them, and they should be dead. And sometimes they are. So that makes a whole lot of sense. Okay, it's
It
all come
does.
together now.
It does. And I'm actually remembering a term from my playwriting class, which they call an act of violence. And it's not even necessarily someone being stabbed, but just anything
Mm-hmm.
that just disrupts the scene. So it could just be glass
Mm.
shattering. And there are lots of acts of violence in this movie, as well as the
Yes,
fight.
a whole lot. Yes.
And the fight scenes were pretty
Yes.
good because there's a lot of
Yeah.
them you remember from the trailer and like, okay. And that was my problem. And that's what I told people is that some of the best scenes you've already seen in the trailer. So
I didn't see a whole lot of. See, I've gotten like, especially now, I don't have cable, so there's a lot of stuff that I miss. Like, there's a lot of trailers that I miss, and some of them I intentionally miss. Like, I don't remember seeing a whole lot of about Aquaman, and like I knew when it was coming out and everything. Captain Marvel is coming up. I'm intentionally not
avoiding
watching
this.
trailers. Yeah,
Right.
with
Me too.
Aquaman, I just missed them. So there's a lot that I didn't know about. I didn't know Nicole Kidman was in it until I saw her, and I was like, huh, look at that. That's Nicole Kidman.
I mean, her scene was good. That was one that, like, when she first shows up and she, this is a minor spoiler. It makes no sense unless you've seen the movie. But when she first destroys the TV and then they start to come and get her, that whole one tracking shot, that was good. I like that.
Yeah. I enjoyed her in her part. So
Yes. Yeah, she was good. So that was Aquaman, and the movie I'm saving for last, which we will now discuss briefly, because we've got our segments to get to. Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse.
woo! Oh my gosh, it's
just
so good. How do you even begin? First of all, it's a Golden Globe winner.
Oh yes, I'm
Best
so sorry.
Animated picture.
Golden Globe winner, Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. I'm so sorry.
I mean,
That
that's
is
amazing.
That is a
That's
huge win.
Huge.
Recent guest Ed Williams has been discussing how, I mean, we've all kind of understand why this is huge, but the fact that when Miles Morales as a character was introduced in the comics, a lot of people were downplaying
The backlash.
him.
Oh man, the backlash.
Yeah, so much backlash. He's not going to succeed. Blah blah blah. And this movie just won a Golden Globe. Yeah.
And even if it hadn't, of course it deserves its praise, because holy moly, what a fantastic movie. It is basically Black Panther in a different medium, and just as good, if not better. But yeah, the character and the movie deserves its praise, and it got it. But like the movie itself, even if it had not received its flowers, it's just beautiful. The music, he's Afro-Latino, and it's a very accurate depiction from what I understand from other Latinas. So,
or Latinx, yes.
Latinx. So it's just his depiction as a young kid in New York who happens upon, the story, he gets bitten. But just his storyline, just the way that he met the other Spider-Man and Spider people, because I was afraid that was gonna be like, and it kind of was the focal one. It definitely moved the plot forward, but I was afraid that they were going to take away from Miles Morales, but I don't think they did. I mean, I just feel like it was a relevant and necessary plot point for the multiverses to meet and to combine. But I mean, Miles Morales took it, and it was his story. It was about him. The focus, remained on him. It just visually, this thing was amazing. I still haven't seen it in 3D. I've only seen it once in just your standard 2D. But even in that format, it was amazing. Couldn't take my eyes off of it.
And you didn't want to, because like
no, you would miss something because it was something that's one thing I have to give to animated movies. They're very succinct. In my opinion, they're very succinct with their storytelling and with like hitting the plot points at the right points or the right times of the movie and keeping your interest and just and I love like the animation style. At first I couldn't place it. I was like, what is happening? This is different. But then I was like, oh, is it coming to life? Like it's a graphic novel in motion. It just so good.
So good. And it was consistent throughout. So
right.
Now, I'll just say now, I recently, as of yesterday, saw it a third time. And there are still things that I missed. Like, there was like an entire scene that, like, I don't remember this scene. Or is this the same cut? I'm in the same theater. And not only that, I'm seeing speech bubbles I didn't see before. And I don't know how to explain it, but I'm using the term, like, action lines. You know, like, if, like, you see it in comic books, like if you slam something or you bang on a desk and you see like those lines that come out of like that action. I saw more of that. I saw more of that this time. So
you're probably expecting it too, because I wasn't expecting it my first viewing, and it took me a minute to realize, oh, this is like in the comic. Oh, okay, got it. It took a while.
It does, and there are still more things that I really. Like, I can't wait to own the Blu-ray because I need to pause things, especially when they show up in Times Square and you see all the billboards. A lot of them are like inside jokes or not even just inside jokes. It's just like cola soda instead of Coca-Cola. Things like that. There's movie posters for things that are in our world. There's the Red Man group instead of the Blue Man group.
Now, well, because they're in different universes. Because I think it was, we found out that, and this is a bit of a kind of a spoiler, but one of the Spider-Man who comes, like Spider-Man, not Spider-Pig or Spider-Noir or whatever his name is, but Spider-Man is the one who's in our universe. Is that correct?
Right. That is correct, yes.
But
because
Miles
there's
is in an alternate. Right, right. So it's just so cool how they did that, because even the Times Squares, like when they showed the shot of Spider-Man's or our universe, the Times Square shot, like it looked like ours, but Miles's Times Square looked different, and everybody else's. I don't remember seeing any other Spider person's Times Square, but I do distinctly remember theirs. Those two, Spider-Man from our universe and Miles Morales' Times Square. But I you know how I am about like Easter eggs and attention to detail, and I live for that stuff, because that's all about world building and story building, and it matters. It totally matters.
I know what I'm getting you for your birthday and or Christmas. So just so you can just not only that,
but your way.
I know. Maybe it's an early gift, or we'll do. I got to figure out a name for it. But and I'm going to give this to the world, because I've done this with another friend of mine. But when what you do, and this is my free idea for your best friend, you figure out the middle day between your birthdays. So mine being in January, yours being in December. So that means our middle day would be somewhere, in July.
June
so that will be our special day to celebrate us. So
it's so far away.
Yeah, I know July is far, but that's also probably when this will be coming out. I'm like,
yeah, it's true.
See, giving you a little bit of hope there. But there's also, I believe, a book of like an animation book of this movie, where I think a lot of the shots are out there. I have not looked for the book itself. I heard people talking about it, so that might be something I'll search for. So there is that, because there is a lot in this movie. They did a fantastic, phenomenal job. I'm already calling it now. They'll get the Oscar for Best Animated Picture, and they should even nominate it for Best Picture too. Let that go against Black Panther. Then it's going to be really difficult to
But Best Picture, though, I don't know if it, like, I think it deserves it for sure, but I don't know.
Yeah,
When has an animated film ever gotten Best Picture? Or has it ever
Beauty and the Beast.
gotten, really? Okay.
I don't know if it
Really?
won. I don't know if it
It was
won, but I know it
nominated,
was
though.
nominated.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
I'm
pretty good
actually
movie.
going to
It's
check
all
right
right.
now.
That
It's okay.
movie was all right. That's my mother's favorite movie,
Mine too.
and I I think it's definitely a classic, and it's great. Um, I don't know. It doesn't it doesn't do it for me though.
It's one that brings nostalgia for me. Like I grew up
Right.
watching it all the time, but
Yeah, me too,
it's not
because my
my
mom loves
go-to.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the live action remake was very well done. It like actually blew me away how well done it was. I was just like, oh, another remake. Ah.
Yeah.
And but I really enjoyed it, and I love the additions that they made. I love the new songs and the twists and stuff that they and the modernizations as well. But I don't know. It's when I list my favorite movies, it's probably not going to be one of them. I give it its flowers always, of course, forever. But personally, Kortney she wouldn't have to watch it every day and be okay, and she would be okay. So
hmm
just putting that out there, everybody.
And,
Don't at me.
and I can confirm it is. It was only nominated. It was the first and so far only animated movie to be nominated for Best Picture. So
Interesting. So, what do you know? Which movie won instead of it that year? It was 93, right? 92 that it came out.
91.
91. Okay.
Yeah. So I will let you know momentarily. I'm pretty sure that was probably one of those like good years. Oh my goodness. Google scares me sometimes because it kind of already knows what I'm about to ask.
It's listening to you, duh.
I know it is.
Side note, as you look that up, I read a tweet today that just cracked me up and also made me shiver with the accuracy. So at the time of this recording, we're on day 18 of the government shutdown. And so the tweet read something like, man, I know this government shutdown is really happening. It's really real because Google, like, it's like my thoughts and my, stuff that I think about or stuff that I just say aloud is not coming up in an ad online. That means my agent really isn't here for me right now. My secret
Wow.
FBI agent really isn't here for me. I was like, oh, the accuracy in that.
Well, now we know. Like when the government shut down, they're
like everybody's affected.
Mm-hmm.
Even our agent, like our super secret, mostly silent friends are not there for us anymore.
We still have to watch out for the robots. If you listen to the Patreon, or if you subscribe to the Patreon, I did talk about a robot at my job. So please do check that out. I do have an update for you, Kortney. One almost ran me over today. That worked.
Of course it did. Because
the one with the teeth.
It has teeth? Did I know that? Oh, I don't know if I knew that it had teeth.
Someone put a sticker of like a wide toothy grin on it.
Oh God. See, that's just not right. It probably put its own sticker there.
It may have, but it also beeped, or I guess it was beeping. Maybe it let me know that it was coming because it came around the corner. Like, oh my God, what are you doing here? Like, I did not know it was on the second floor where I was, and there it was. Just.
Well, now that they're unfettered by the government, I mean, they can finally take over.
Well, this robot is run by the state, so I don't think it's affected by the federal shutdown. So it's still got its job to do, handing out prescriptions and death. So it's not, it's not looking to. It's like your stupid government can't shut me down. I got things to do. So it runs day and night probably. And the answer to your question, who won Best Picture in for 92, since
Told you.
came out 91. Well,
I knew it.
The movie came out 91, but the awards are given out the next year. So
I know. I said both years though. Well, I said 92. Whatever. Who won?
Whatever. Silence of the Lambs.
Okay. That makes sense.
Which even that movie in itself, I guess it's a worthy
It's a
One
word
to
to
lose
lose.
to. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that won 5 awards, which is...
That was a really good movie, though.
I have not seen it all the way through.
Crap.
I've seen...
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but...
And I do want to
Very
see
good.
it, even though it's not a movie that's really up my alley, per se. But it's one of those, like, you got to see this movie kind of movie.
Yeah. I mean, at least once, because it's a classic and it's clearly a winner. Yeah, it's not one that I'm just going to watch in the background like The Office or something. So,
okay, let's pop in Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, it's a great Sunday afternoon watch.
Good family Christmas movie. Yeah. You know? Which is, by the way, that's how we watch Bird Box. Like, my whole family watched it, like, gathered around with the little children and everything.
I still don't understand how and why that happened.
I was asleep during that decision-making process. I woke up and the movie was on. Like, this is not a family movie, is it? And, you know...
But it's pretty clear within the first 5-10 minutes of the movie, like the tone and the direction.
Right.
And it's just like, why?
Imagine waking up to that, though.
Stopped? Why wasn't this stopped?
I was on the couch and all of a sudden I just kind of woke up like, what? This is what we're watching? What's happening? Why are we doing this? So yeah, that was how I was introduced to. It's like, okay, we're watching this now. I really plan to watch this. You know, I was going to watch it myself, but alone, and you know, where I didn't have to worry about wee children being traumatized. So
right, or grown people. I mean, it can be pretty traumatizing, you know.
It can be. It can be. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, so will the regular segments. I've got something for everything, for everyone. And we will be right back to the Indoo Podcast.
The Indoo Podcast.
Hey, dear listeners, just a gentle reminder that you can support the Indoo Network by subscribing to the Indoo Patreon at patreon.com/Indoo.
But hold up, Sterling. I keep hearing about this website. What is Patreon?
So glad you asked. Patreon is a membership platform where subscribers can pay, fund, or donate to creators for content. In other words, if you subscribe for a small monthly fee, you can get bonus podcasts, reviews, videos, and just awesome extra goodies from the Indoo Network.
So all that extra stuff we couldn't fit in this episode they're listening to right now will be on the Patreon?
Exactly, and so much more.
Oh, really? Well, where does my money go?
Well, podcasts cost money. Microphones, conferencing software, and host websites aren't free. So every little bit that a patron chips in helps produce the content they already love and enjoy. And for your contributions, based on how much you give per month, will unlock more perks to be enjoyed that are created specifically for patrons.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. So where do I go again?
Patreon.com/Indoo. Browse around. Some posts are free. Most are $1, but you're free to do more and you will get more. And we at the Indoo Network will certainly appreciate the help keeping the studio lights on.
That's for sure. And thank you to the patrons that are already supporting and enjoying all that extra bonus content. Like that one video where you did that one thing you said you wouldn't, couldn't, and shouldn't do.
Oh, I know. And I almost got killed to death trying to do it, but I did it and now it's done.
That was hilarious.
Good times.
Good times.
And ho ho ho! Happy New Year! We're back. So real quick, I'll get some of these quick ones out. Our word watch. I have picked demotic because it sounds like demonic, but it has nothing to do with that whatsoever. Demotic, DEMOTIC, is popular or common. So for me, I would say Aquaman was a demotic movie because it was popular, but it also felt kind of common. Like, whatever.
I'm not sure that that's the
correct usage.
Accurate, usage, but I'll allow it.
Yeah, I just wanted to, throw a little bit of shade on it because
it deserves it.
Yeah, it's a common superhero origin story, and it's also pretty popular. Like a lot of Now I do have a little bit of Sheboygan news.
Good morning, Sheboygan.
The first piece of news, it was like headlining. It was like, I guess, printed like an hour ago. But stink bugs have invaded, not necessarily Sheboygan, but Wisconsin proper. Like some of the larger communities are starting to experience it. They've been experiencing it since 2010. I mean, they're popping up everywhere. I hate them. It's my nemesis. You and I were discussing nemesis earlier, mostly in the literary sense, but in the real life, they are my nemesis.
I don't like them. They're the worst.
They are, and that's basically what the article was about. And also, they actually had a way or a method of killing them, and I actually like this. So I'm going to share this with people now. See, we're giving you quality content. We're giving you ways to save your home, save your family. Aside from taping up all the windows and doors and never leaving the house or letting anything in, including sunlight, this is what you can do. If they're already in your home, get a lamp. And I'm assuming this has to be a room where they kind of, live in, but get a lamp and then shine the lamp down like on a desk or a table or wherever the lamp is situated, but into a bowl full of soapy water. So the bugs will be attracted to it. They will probably more than likely fall because they are stupid, clumsy bugs. Seriously. I mean, the way they beat themselves into my TV, that's also what makes me so annoyed about them. But they can't swim. So they will hit the light, hit the lamp, whatever. They'll fall into the water and they will die. So there you go. Which is much better than what I read before, which is you just take a vacuum and vacuum them up. I mean, because then you still have to deal with the bodies inside and throw them away. I mean, you got to do it with the water too, but at least it's easier. You just, flush it.
Yeah, you just like, I don't know, throw it out or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, throw it outside.
Yeah.
Just don't squish them because that's what excretes their stinkiness stench. So don't do that. Especially don't do it with your hands because apparently the odor that the chemicals that makes them stink will linger. And that was reading the article. So I'm like, ooh, that's gross. So don't do that.
Yeah. Ugh.
So there you go. As for things more related to Sheboygan, I know you and I have never been there, but what would you think would be the pastime to do, like in January about this time?
In Sheboygan?
Yes.
And Sheboygan is up north, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would think it would be something winter related, something like outdoorsy.
It is outdoorsy, yes.
With snow?
No. It surprised me too.
Okay.
The thing that they do, and there's a photo gallery on the website, is surfing.
Surfing where? Like traveling down south to surf?
No. Sheboygan is a coastal town. It is on the edge of a lake. I don't know which one. I want to say Lake Erie. That's because it's the only... Nope, I know two lakes. Lake Erie and Lake Superior. I don't know what the other Great Lakes are. Imperion? I'm making up stuff. Never mind. It's one of the lakes, and they had some heavy winds, which caused some serious wave. And it was like, tubular! And then they all got onto their surfboards and bodysuits and like, dude! And, did their surfing thing.
But is that all the time, or is that just recently for some, weird reason?
That may have been recently, or maybe just recently because maybe it was warm enough because they did have a warm front come through and it was also very windy. So I'm assuming that was just a thing. So something to keep in mind if you want to go to Sheboygan and maybe do some surfing when we've got these, unseasonably warm temperatures because, no climate change or anything like that.
And it doesn't exist.
Yeah, it doesn't. So there you go. That's your Sheboygan news. My Black History fact for you. Have you heard of Gladys West?
I have not.
Gladys West is the person we can thank to help us not get lost when we go driving. She is the mathematician who brought us GPS.
Of course she is. That makes a whole lot of sense.
And
Black women know things.
She does. I was going to read all of this because I wanted to practice my techno jargon, techno babble, but I'm going to skip a lot of that. I will let you know she is one of your sorority sisters. Very, very nice. Very nice.
I haven't done that in a while.
West was selected by the BBC as part of their 2018 100 Women. She was inducted into the United States Air Force Hall of Fame in 2018. One of the Air Force Special Command's highest honors. She was described as one of the pioneering hidden figures who did essential mathematical computing for the United States Armed Forces before electric systems. She has, in 2018, she also completed a PhD via a distance learning program with Virginia Tech. She is either, I think, 83 or 84, because her year of birth is disputed. But yeah, she worked for the I should have paraphrased this a little earlier, this whole paragraph here, but basically working for the Air Force and the Naval Force for a while, back in the 80s and the 90s, when she printed out the materials that would make GPS possible. She did all of those mathematical equations, and now we have her to thank for her GPS. And she's still living with us too, so she's still awesome.
Aside from all the other stuff, because that's amazing, and I did not know that a Black woman was behind that, and I'm very proud, and it's amazing. But aside from all of that, I'm pretty excited about the fact that this woman is still living, and we are still debating her year of birth.
I know.
Like, she's like, I'm not telling y'all. Y'all don't need to know all of that.
You know what? I didn't think about that part. It might have been her choice not to be like, no, you don't have to know what year I was born.
Right. Y'all don't need to know that.
It was in this vicinity.
Just know I was born. That's all you need to know.
I was here and I did things.
Right.
So now, the only segment I'm going to actually skip is the Ask and Doob, because I do still have some more questions from our last episode, but I'm going to skip that, and I want to get to our Spookum Zone, because I have a story for you that I know you're going to love. So I hope you have your lights off, or are all your lights and everything's dark.
I'm probably just going to mute you and do something else, because yeah.
Okay, well.
Go for it.
Okay, dear Indubians, please, if you are able to control your lights, do turn them off and just nestle in close. Hide under your blanket. So this is the story of the Solder children disappearances. It's as fascinating and mysterious as it is heartbreaking. So yeah, you might want some tissues too. Sorry. In 1945, 5 children of one West Virginia family went missing in the middle of the night. There was a house fire, and poof, they were gone. No trace of any of the children was found in or near the house or anywhere else. To this day.
To this day. To this day. To this day.
To this. Okay. No one knows what happened to these kids. So, here's the story. Around 1 a.m. on Christmas Day in 1945, a fire broke out in the Solder family's West Virginia home. Both parents and 4 of their 10 children escaped. 5 children were unaccounted for. The 10th child was away from home in the Army. The cause of the fire was a mystery, too. When the father, George, attempted to re-enter the house to save the children, the ladder that was always leaning against the house was missing. He thought to drive one of his 2 coal trucks right up against the house and climb it to enter the window. But neither truck started, even though they both functioned the day before. And it gets weirder. Multiple people phoned the operator for help, but the calls were never answered. And while the fire station was only 2 miles away, fire trucks didn't arrive until 8 in the morning. Again, this fire started at 1 a.m. The mystery continues. After the house burnt completely to the ground, nothing was found. No questions were answered, human remains were located in the remnants of the fire. The Sodders later hired private investigators to help find their 5 missing children, but at least 2 of the investigators immediately went missing. Weird, huh? The mystery remains unsolved to this day. To this day. If this smells fishy to you, you're not alone here. One theory that explains the disappearance has to do with the Sodder family's involvement in their Italian immigrant community. As reported by the Smithsonian, George held strong opinions about everything from business to current events and politics, but was, for some reason, reticent to talk about his youth. He never explained what had happened back in Italy to make him want to leave. Smithsonian goes on to tell a tale that surely seems to point to some shady mafia business. But hey, who knows? There was a stranger who appeared at the home a few months earlier, back in the fall, asking about hauling work. He meandered to the back of the house, pointed to 2 separate fuse boxes and said, "This is going to cause a fire someday." Strange, because George thought, especially since he had just had the wiring checked by the local power company, which pronounced it in fine condition. Around the same time, another man tried to sell the family life insurance and became irate when George declined. "Your house is going up in smoke," he warned, "and your children are going to be destroyed," which is a really serious threat. "You're going to be paid for the dirty remarks you have made or you've been making about Mussolini." George was indeed outspoken about his dislike for the Italian dictator, occasionally engaging in heated arguments with other members of Fayetteville's Italian community, and at the time didn't take the man's threats seriously. The older Sodder sons also recalled something peculiar. Just before Christmas, they noticed a man parked along U.S. Highway 21, intently waiting or watching the younger kids as they came home from school. So.
Oh, wow. Yes. Well, I guess I'm gonna, I don't know, cry myself to sleep tonight, I guess.
Yeah, for the
Jeez.
Missing children whom, have disappeared.
Bless their hearts.
Yes.
Bless.
But yeah,
Thanks a lot, Sterling.
That's after bringing everybody down.
Right.
But I was just more, just like, these are a lot of mysterious goings-ons, but like the whole mafia angle makes a lot more sense than just
right
being completely wiped away. Because, I mean, if the mafia doesn't want you to be found, then you're not going to be found.
You ain't going to be found, not easily.
I mean, do we still know where Jimmy Hoffa is? So, I certainly don't. But yeah, that does it for this episode. You want to give any shout-outs or what have yous and whatnot and so forth?
Well, if you would like to at me about what's happening these days, nothing about certain R&B singers who are currently popular right now, who have a 6-part series regarding their past misconducts, past and present misconducts.
Who is under investigation as of
I
like an hour ago.
Finally.
Great news. But go on. I'm sorry.
Jeez, but at what cost? Anyway, but we ain't got, don't at me about that because you don't want this.
No.
But if you want to chat at me about, rainbows and sunshine and magic and like witches, hit me up. I got you all day. You can find me on the Twitters at IamKHinton. And yeah, I'll be there for you.
Question.
Yes.
Can we at you about Batman v Superman if we have questions about that?
Sure, please do. Be my guest.
Okay, cool.
Be our guest. Yeah.
I love when we have full circles here. Yes, you can follow me on all things Indoob and go to theindoob.com to find the Patreon to subscribe for more perks. And again, do check that out because that's where we talked about robots before. And maybe we'll talk about them again. And we will just save them for Patreon stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll come up. That's a very relevant on-brand topic.
It is, especially since I apparently work with them and they have teeth. And
no, you work for them.
Oh, you're right. You're right. They just allow me to live. So
And work
while I'm
and
there.
breathe.
Right. They're listening now, probably. Nope.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, yeah. They're run by the state, not by the government. Okay. Not by the federal. Yeah. Anyway, my Public store. Go get t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, and more. Again, I think there's 50 designs on there. I lost count. I think I started working on some new designs for the church one, so check that one out too. Please rate, comment, and share the pod on Apple Podcasts. Almost said Apple Podcasts.
I like Apple Podcast better. You should have kept it.
I do. Okay, well.
Wasted opportunity.
I know. Please rate, comment. I read that already. Share the pod on Apple Podcasts. Podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Stitcher, Google Pie, and Piebean. Thank you so much.
Did you say Google Pie?
Google Pie, Piebean, and thank you so much for supporting, listening, stopping by, and pressing play. Oh yeah, I did say leave a comment, but really do leave a comment because I will go back and maybe read a couple that are there because I think there are at least 2. I want more comments. Give me some more comments on there.
Yeah, talk to us, folks. Talk to us.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I forgot. I will be going to PodCon. So by the time you hear this, well, I haven't left yet, but if you are a fellow podcaster and you're going to be at PodCon, please, I don't know, look for me or I'll look for you. Let's connect, at least on Twitter, because I'll have a report next PodCon.
Let's do it. Well,
yes.
We'll do it.
Yeah, okay, I'll be in Seattle. All by my lonesome. My fellow co-host couldn't make it. Okay.
Please.
Tell someone you value that you value them and live for the folks you love. I've been your benevolent host, T. Sterling Watson. And remember, if the world didn't suck, we'd all fall off. Or get eaten by robots. Sorry.
Hopefully both? I don't know.
I don't know which is worse.
Make it quick. Quick and painless? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
The Indube Podcast is recorded in a studio somewhere on planet Earth. The Indube Podcast is part of the Indube Network. And if you'd like to get in contact with the Indube Podcast, please email indubepod@gmail.com. That is indubepod@gmail.com. You can find the Indube Podcast on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Google Play, and of course Podbean, or wherever podcasts may be procured. If you'd like to find out more information, please visit indube.com, where you can find our store, the blog, and of course our Patreon, if you'd like to support and donate and find more perks and fun things to listen to and watch. For Chief, DJ Joe Daddy, Bilford, this is T. Sterling Watson signing off. Thank you so much for listening. Use your words, Chief. Good boy. This has been another 3SFX production.